sometimes you have to find someone to talk to about things that are happening in your life. And maybe it's not your wife. Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's somebody else. Yeah, it could be your wife. But just to help you deal with it. And we don't always necessarily, as of all of us, is like, how do we open up to somebody else about some issues we might have, right? And that's the hard part.
Welcome to Baptist Health Talk, a podcast on all things healthcare, powered by Baptist Health South Florida, your trusted source for healthcare prevention and wellness.
All right. I want to welcome all you guys here. Glad you guys have come out, and I know there's some women in here, but this is all about us guys. All about us guys and what we can do for our health and what we can extend our lives as we get healthier. And you know, Baptist Health on the forefront of dealing with all these issues that we're going to talk about. So I'm here. Hey, this morning, we're going to have a little fun.
Okay.
We're going to talk about, you know, all of us, I'm not talking about them, all of us, I include me, that are the weekend warriors, right? You know, the guys that work all week, grind, no matter if you're in the construction business, no matter if you're in an office, no matter what you're doing, you're grinding. Then all of a sudden on Saturday, Sunday, man, I'm the greatest athlete that has ever stepped on the field. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show my stuff. I'm going to see what I can do. So we're going to talk about that along the way. So now let me get here. Joining us, certainly, let's get to the real superstars that have been doing that for their whole life. First of all, joining us, we've got the sweet stroke of Glen Rice, 15 years in the NBA, three-time All-Star. How about this? 1,500. Now, you guys are going to have to it's going to take you a little while to get to this number. 1,599 three-pointers. What about a sweet stroke that he had? You know what that converts to? 4,677 points. 4,600. You didn't even know that, did you, Glenn?
I didn't know that, no.
Huh? You heard 59 enough.
Yeah, you did.
But hey, I know my man here knew all his stats, so don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Next joining us, 17 years with the Miami Dolphins, a hometown guy, a Pittsburgh guy, but made his home down here, stayed with the Miami Dolphins for 17 years. Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever throw the ball, Dan Marino.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you.
And so before we get to the doc, let me ask you a couple questions. Danny, so talking about weekend warriors and this and that, and you're not doing it every day now. You're going to practice a lot of times.
Sure.
But when it comes to the weekend, when you want to go out and compete, what is your favorite thing to do?
To watch. You know, you get a certain age, you just got to be careful, right? So, I mean, I used to enjoy doing that, you know, throwing a football around with my kids, and I still do that a little bit. My arm's not quite what it was, but, you know, my sons are older now and having fun. I got grandkids now, so kind of messing around with them. But as far as like playing basketball or you know, any like touch football or anything like that, I kind of stay away from it. I'll ride a bike, I'll get on a treadmill, all the things you need to do to stay healthy. But I always watch because I have friends, like my friend Ralph right over here that came with me. He's tore his Achilles twice playing basketball, trying to pick. And he's way into his mid-60s. I'm not going to say how old he is. But, you know, those are the things you got to be careful of. But you want to get the exercise. You want to get to play the competition. You understand that part. But you definitely got to be careful about your legs and your health.
Play a little golf, too. I play golf in there now.
But golf is not really that athletic.
Everybody throws golf in there,
right?
Oh,
yeah, but golf's not athletic. All you got to do is walk and hit the ball. I mean, that's not a playing hoops, you know.
All right, Glenn, what do you lean on for your weekend exercise? And maybe not exercise, because you know, we all want to compete. We played a long time ago. We've been out of the game for a while, but competing is in our life, whether it's health, but certainly on the sports field.
Oh, yeah. No, we love competing. I got a funny story for you since you talk about the whole weekend warriors thing. I have two older boys who are really good in basketball, and, you know, this was kind of like right after I retired, and I was thinking like, man, weekend warrior, you know, I fit into that category now. But I got to be like that elite weekend warrior. Man, I found out real quick. Right after we played, I was on the shelf for about a month and a half, wondering where all these aches came from. And then, like you mentioned, golf. That's when I switched over to golf because there's less contact. There's not a whole lot of movement for me to be sore the whole month and a half or so. And Yeah, I'm not a weekend warrior anymore. Again, like Dan said, I like to watch the guys. I go out there, I give pointers. I give pointers to the weekend warriors, how to shoot better, how to move a little bit better, and how to use ice bags afterwards. So
those ice bags, that's old school, man.
Yeah, gotta have that.
Hey, so joining us here is Dr. Michael Yurubi. He's a primary care sports medicine and family medicine physician at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care, all about helping people like us stay active and doing the things that we want to do, but do them safely. So let me ask you a question. What are the common mistakes you see from the everyday guy that's working and then coming out and really wants to go and compete in the weekend? What do you see when they come to you that the problems that are common to them?
I'm seeing a lot of, like, now with pickleball being so common, I'm seeing a lot of lower extremity injuries, calf strains, hamstring strains, a lot of overuse injuries like Achilles tendonitis. Those are probably the most common things I'm seeing now.
So when
pickleball's good for you though. Like,
Bull,
but just be, yeah.
I'm gonna cut that up, Bull. I said,
what's that?
I said, Bull. I'm not gonna finish it. Let me tell you. I got to tell you, like 2 years ago, my wife gave me a pickleball kit for Father's Day. 2 years from today, whatever today is, right? Or tomorrow. What's tomorrow's Father's Day? There you go.
Yes.
And so I said, hey, well, let's go up. Let's go up and try them out. So we go up. There's a pickleball court in our neighborhood. We go up there. 10 minutes in, she hits a little shot, hits the net, kind of drops. Oh, I can get to that. I plant my foot. Pop. There goes my Achilles tendon. 15 minutes in. Pop my Achilles tendon. So that's making those docs a lot of money too, right? Put a lot of money in your pocket.
Yeah.
So when you get these weekend warriors, these guys that have come out, they've overexerted, they've done too much, they've got aches, pains, maybe they have to have some surgery. How do you deal with them and tell them what they're doing wrong? If it doesn't come to a surgical thing, just something like, hey, I'm feeling pretty bad. What can I do? What do you usually try to give them so they can feel better?
So you want to, initially when somebody gets injured, you want to really probably kind of deload the injury, deload the muscle. So you want to have them stop, basically, get the pain score down to like maybe a 3, and then little by little start, getting that basic movement again, getting that range of motion back. And then I think the most important thing is just progressing through the activities. So going through kind of progressing back to activities and then getting back when you feel a lot better.
I will say the one thing, Achilles, I had one and it's tedious. It's like, you don't want to have that. So you should try to prevent that as much as you possibly can. Because like you said, it takes, take a year to come back from that. You just got to be smart about what you're doing because it's work coming back from that.
I remember going in the Heat locker room after games and I would see every one of you guys packed ice on your knees or wrapped around down. You remember doing it after a game, you put on your elbow.
Ice is our friend.
Ice down everything.
Ice is our friend.
Now I go in the locker room and I don't see that anymore. I don't see ice as being, what they do first. And so you got people coming in saying, hey, you doc say, hey, I did this, but I iced it. It's not doing. They're not using ice anymore. So what are they? Are they doing that wrong? Is that the wrong thing to do, or what would you recommend?
No, I still think initially ice is important. It brings down inflammation. It kind of helps with the pain as well. And then I think eventually, now they're doing a lot of compression stockings. Compression things help a lot with lymphatic drainage and circulation as well. So that's something new that I think they've been implementing more.
Glenn, you've seen plenty of your teammates deal with pain and go through injuries, as well as yourself pushing through pain. How would you tell somebody now that's trying to, even if they're an elite athlete or how far can you push that pain, and when do you tap out and just say, hey, I can't go anymore. I got to sit down.
Yeah, we athletes, we are hard-headed. We think our threshold is probably taller than Empire State Building. I think one of the things you got to tell yourself is like, all right, if I keep pushing through this, how's it going to hurt me in the long run? So I think that'll encourage you to say, look, I got a nagging injury. I want to get this paid attention to as quick as possible. So that way it won't keep me sitting out longer and I can get back on the court as quick as possible.
So go ahead, Dan.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No. So again, all dealt with injuries. You certainly, you talked about your Achilles tendon, which was a very bad, it was almost catastrophic, that injury. So how did you deal with it mentally coming back and trying to get going? And just know that you had to take it easy. And the aspect of coming back when you get on the field, how am I going to be able to trust this thing? How much can I trust this thing? And am I afraid that this is going to pop on me in about another 10 minutes or so?
Right, Bo, first of all, like when you get this kind of injury, the doc will tell you, you got to be patient at first, and it's going to take a little time. And then being patient, what I mean is like you're going to work your butt off, and then you're not going to see as much, progress at times. And that's when you got to be mentally tough. You got to be mentally tough to get through that part of your injury. And it could be your knee, it could be anything, whatever that is. For me, that kind of made it hard because I wanted to get back and play right away as soon as I could. And then it just hit a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm good. Mentally going to say, you just got to trust it and go and see what happens. And then it ended up being that, during the summer camp, when I came back from that, I didn't feel good about it. But when the games started to kick in and everything started to kick in, like I felt great. And it's like my Achilles never happened. And I think it's a mental part, but you got to get through the first part of the rehab and all that and being patient with it.
It's still got to be a mind bend when you walk in there and that first time. But again, like 2-3 snaps in, it's out of your mind, right?
Right, because you're competing now, right? Like, okay, I'm out here, I'm good, I feel good. Like now you start competing and you don't think about it. If you have to think about it, you probably shouldn't be on the field.
Hey, Glenn, were there times during your career where you had a nagging injury and you went in and you just tried to gut it out? I can get through this game. I can get through this next quarter. I can get through the fourth quarter. And you just pushed it. And then you look back and you say, hey, after that, I paid a high price. And now I have to deal with the damage of being a little bit overzealous by staying on the court.
Yeah, with basketball players, we tend to get little tweaks in our ankles. And one of the things we're very good at is like, don't worry about it, doc. Just tape me up a little bit, tape it a little tighter, and I can go out there and finish the job. One of the things we were doing, you got some tendons in your ankles that are real sensitive. And over a period of time, if you keep overlooking that little weakness there, then it gets worse and worse. And, back when I played, we were stubborn. We were very stubborn. We wanted to get out there and keep competing, stay on the court and doing our job. But a lot of times it did cost us in the long run because you have those now. Every now and then I get up in the morning and I can feel that I probably should have just stayed off it for a little while, got the proper rest.
Yeah, like Glenn, Danny, they had to drag you off the field with something. You ever find that situation where you went a little too hard and maybe you regretted it when you got back in?
No, there was a couple times, and going back, even like look at the concussion stuff and things like that, and like all that is. It's just you feel like you're invincible sometimes, which we're all not. We're all not invincible. No, there's not. Now, there's times when I was in my early 20s, I'm like, there's nothing going to happen to me. Like, I got this covered, whatever it is. Even if I get tweaked or a little bit or a little injury, I can play through it. And over time, you just got to understand that that's not the case for your body. And it's not going to help you in the long run as you get older in life. But at the time, that's what we're built. Like we're built like that, just to go and play regardless. And and sometimes there was a mistake.
Doc, what would you talk to somebody about that's playing and how to monitor when a little bit more is too much?
Yeah, so I think there's a common misconception sometimes when people think of that phrase, no pain, no gain. I think knowing the difference between a dull soreness after working out and the difference between that and maybe a persistent localized pain that can lead a minor injury into something a lot worse. So you don't want to be pushing through that. So, I mean, definitely don't. I've seen a lot of people actually in clinic that there's a common phrase I always hear is like, it can't be broken because I'm able to walk on it. And I've seen a lot of people saying that they come in, it hasn't gone away. We get x-rays and they've been walking on fractures for a very long time, going untreated. So I think just not, knowing the difference between what's your pain score and kind of not letting things go, because it can like cause little minor things to go long-term injuries.
What you said reminds me of my wife. I said, hey, look, we're overdrawn in the bank. And she goes, how can I be overdrawn? We still have checks left. You know, so it's kind of like you're talking about there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so Doc,
he thinks you're invincible, bro.
hey, Doc. So pros have grown up and they learn how to train smart to play long. All right. So what recovery or training habits from the pros would also work for the weekend warriors? And are there tools or technology, a lot of technology coming into training these days, that you would recommend that they incorporate in their workout schedule and even during work and those types of things? I mean, because look, a lot of these guys doing jobs where they can get injured at work. They keep pushing and trying to get going longer. So what would you recommend?
So I think for the first question, I think a lot of the pros, something underappreciated, I guess, is sleep. That they really take into they put sleep almost part of their training. So getting good 7 to 8 hours of sleep is very important. It helps with recovery. That's one of the things. I think another thing that pros do a lot of times is they train movements. They're able to train muscle movements, and not just muscles. So it's not about getting a bigger chest or chest. So really just kind of training coordination, stability, and that helps a lot in the real world. And then just making sure, I think with pros, so the pros really, they do consistency over intensity, which means they're doing something every single day. So every single day they're doing something. They may not be going 100%, but they're doing something every single day. And that always beats doing nothing during the week and then going 100% one day out of the week, which is a big reason why a lot of injuries occur. And as far as tech and stuff, I mean, there's certain apps. Apps help. Apps can be good and bad. I think there's some apps that, basic mobility apps, they're easily accessible on your phone. They're simple to follow. You can do them every single day. And it helps to kind of track and get some ideas on mobility. I think, massage guns are probably worth the investment. They help with acute injuries, blood flow, muscle strains, and then in turn, actually, I was going to say the apps could be bad for you as well, because a lot of these apps are tracking everything. So tracking your sleep score, your strain score, your pain score, your sleep, your steps, everything. I think too much tracking in these apps could just be adding to a lot of stress more than good.
Yeah. So like I've got an Apple Watch, and
Same here.
So if you're doing that, what would you say? This is good, and I wouldn't worry about this. I'm trying to check my heart rate after and when I can get back to a resting heart rate, trying to get that and doing little different things, but not trying to have it go all the way. What would you want to zero in on?
Yeah, just try not to obsess over it, because that can get very obsessive and constantly looking at it. I think maybe tracking data and some points is good, but not obsessing every second looking at your phone or to seeing how much, because it just kind of becomes noise at the end of the day. So.
Hey, Dan, is there anything you wish you would have started earlier in your career when it came to look? You played 17 years in the league, and you got beat up pretty good over 17 years. So you kind of asked a lot about your body. But if you could have done something earlier in your career to elong, or maybe lessen the injuries you had and even give you a little more time, what would you think you would have done?
The one thing, and sometimes I even do it now, the one thing I would say is, all in this room, we do things all the time. But I think sometimes I just took my health for granted. Like I thought, I was 21, 22, 24, 30 years old, and I just took it for granted that actually nothing's ever going to happen to me. And then, I tore my Achilles. I had a lot of knee operations, all those things. And I think that's the point you have to make, is don't take your health for granted. Make sure you're doing something every day. Make sure you're getting your checkups, all the things you need to do, because it's so important for your health. And you're proactive in that situation, instead of waiting until something happens, then you got to deal with it later. So that's kind of, how I at first I took everything for granted, and now I don't.
Yeah. So I'm a little older than these guys. I'm 70 years old. So when I was playing, it was really old school. We didn't have a lot of technology. And so, someone would come in. I remember one guy came in the locker room one day with a jug of horse liniment. And he said, hey, this is the greatest thing going. Every guy dipped in that horse liniment, started rubbing it all over there. So Glenn, what is the strangest recovery thing that the weirdest recovery thing that you actually tried or thought maybe worked?
Yeah, this is so funny. I think nowadays they call it like icy hot or something like that. Back then, I used to take a bath in FlexAll. I used to rub it all over my knees, my elbows, even my hand at times, and come to realize a couple of times when I didn't use it, I almost felt better. I felt like I became reliant on it, and psychologically, I was like, oh my God. I'd run back to the locker room. I forgot to put FlexAll on, and no, that wasn't a good thing. I mean, I was kind of embarrassed because I would always come out smelling like FlexAll. It'd be in my clothes all the time, and so that was not the kind of cologne you wanted to keep wearing all day.
Danny, what about you?
That's a good one, Glenn. Oh man, but the horse liniment thing, I actually they came
got to you, right?
Yeah, it got to me on my Achilles, and I rubbed it on, and it burned my skin so bad. It's pretty ugly. And I didn't feel like it did anything. And then the worst part was it made you stink like really bad. My wife's like, you cannot stay in the room with me because I'm putting this stuff on. And she's like, stay in the other room, get in the other room. And then after a while, I figured like this stuff's not really doing anything. It's not, and it's just in your mind. You think that's, you think that's real and it's going to happen, and it doesn't. It's really more the medical way to do it, and with medication and whatever it may be, not horse liniment.
But it's funny. People would come in the locker room. How many people came into locker rooms with all these different things, right? And everyone looked at me, well, it sounds pretty stupid, but damn it, I'm going to try it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to give you a little help.
There were a bunch of ideas for sure.
Hey, Doc, what's your framework for helping somebody get back to the game safely after an injury, before getting back too soon, before, not doing the building blocks to get them ready to be active again and do it safely?
Yeah, I think so. Getting back is more than just, I feel better, I'm ready to go. You're really trying to build back that durability, that control, and that just takes time. Like Dan said, it kind of little by little, it's progress. You got to the most important thing is really just progress slowly through pain. If you're feeling any kind of pain, maybe scale back. And then obviously testing before you go back onto the field, making sure that you're at least, 90% of your pre-injury, intensity, things that you're doing, and right before going back in. So I think just progressive loading is the big thing.
So we've talked about injuries and how to get back from injuries and all this. The one thing we haven't talked about is the mental aspect. We've all, our brains kind of, get going, and you get something in your mind, and whether it's good or bad. And so dealing with injuries, dealing with slight injuries, catastrophic injuries, is a very, very difficult situation. And so from my advice would be, look, don't be afraid to see a therapist. Don't be afraid to go out and ask for some help. But Glenn, let's talk about your experience with, the mental side of playing the game, recovering from an injury, all those types of things that come into play, whether you're a weekend warrior or whether you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, I always think that we're kind of like our biggest enemy. When you get to that point where you're so competitive, we almost have to check ourselves. We got to slow down. We got to say, okay, look, you know what? Let me take a couple of steps back and do the right thing. But I understand the whole method of thinking with the weekend warriors, because now I'm a weekend warrior too at times. But and I don't know how to shut down. Even though I still have the aches, I still try and say, well, you know what? It'll go away. And the next week, I don't pay attention again. And before you know it, whatever was like a little nagging injury you could have got taken care of with a little rehab now becomes something that needs surgery. So I think it's very important that you pay attention to your body. I recently developed carpal tunnel syndrome, and April 1st, I had an operation on it. And right after that operation, I had some joint problems with that were in my finger. I kept ignoring it, thinking that that'll pass. Again, that weekend warrior kind of mentality kicked into my head, and I was like, it's probably just a finger that's jammed up a little bit. Well, recently, this past Monday, I had to get another surgery on the same hand, and I had developed a trigger finger. And I think a lot of that's just, through wear and tear. A lot of people tell me I probably should have passed the ball a little bit more, and I probably wouldn't have had issues in my right hand. But no, I take the high road, and I tell them, no, I spent too many times in the hot zone. So that's probably what messed my hand up. But I think it's very important that, any little nagging injury, you need to make sure that you take the measures, go pay attention to it, and go see your local doctor so you won't have to get to a point where you got to get surgery.
Danny, I think also all of us, fought that mental battle as you were playing, and now as we're older and doing this, it's still it's still a battle, but sometimes it's a different battle.
I agree, Bo. I think all of us, we go through things, and I have, and sometimes when you're a professional athlete and you've been through so much, and you've been a great player or whatever it may be, sometimes you have to find someone to talk to about things that are happening in your life. And maybe it's not your wife. Maybe it's your friend. Maybe it's somebody else. Yeah, it could be your wife. But just to help you deal with it. And we don't always necessarily, as of all of us, is like, how do we open up to somebody else about some issues we might have, right? And that's the hard part. And I think that most people in general, if you go and talk to them and we all talk together, they will talk to you about something to try to be positive in your life and make it the right way. So I'd always say, like, try to talk to somebody about something that might be bothering you, no matter what it is. I try to tell my kids that all the time. Like, hey, and my kids, I got a 38-year-old, a little 29-year-old, and I always tell them, like, there's something up or whatever it may be, just please let me know. Don't hold it in. Don't make it an issue that it doesn't have to be an issue. And that's a huge deal. I mean, not for athletes. That's a huge deal for everybody. And, that it's an important thing, I think, in life that you have to do.
Doc, from a recovery standpoint, mentally, you're not a psychologist, you're not a therapist, but people will come to you with things and they'll talk to you about it. So how do you try to push them, and are there guys that you say, you may just say, hey, look, you're really dealing in a bad place. You may need to look for some professional help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think sometimes the mental side could almost be more difficult than the physical side. Mentally, initially, they feel, what I've experienced, they feel the frustration, anger. So, I mean, kind of getting that out of, trying to see, tell them that that's almost normal, trying to frame it and trying to get the guilt away. And then eventually, start kind of, I think little goals is super important. So instead of saying, I just want to feel normal again, you want to start saying, I just want to walk 10 minutes without pain. I want to be able to bend my knee, and small little wins build momentum. And that's big. And then I think just being able to like Dan said, if you need help or anything like that, reach out. There's always sports psychologists essentially that they deal with this a lot, the mental side.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Let's reach out to the guys out here that want to ask some questions to a couple superstars up here, and why don't you go ahead and walk up to the mic and just see what you say. But guys, I want to appreciate having you guys.
Bo, you're the best, bro.
A lot of good information, and
you're the best.
It's funny that you're talking to two superstars up here, and they're dealing with a lot of the same situations that you guys are on a day-to-day basis, on a weekend-to-weekend basis, and hopefully you can take a lot from it. But let's go ahead and take the first question.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mark Lay from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania.
Oh man, you got the pirate hat on, Aliquippa. I was just, Jimbo Covert that played. He was, Hall of Fame offensive lineman. He's from Aliquippa. Yeah, Jimbo. Yeah, I was just with him the last few days.
So you're in my top 3 of Western Pennsylvania athletes. Clearly, like Darrell.
Okay.
Top 3.
Darrell,
that's okay. I could be in the top 3. That's actually pretty good.
Darrell and Ty.
What the hell else is there, man?
Darrell and Ty Law. No, but
no, not Ty Law. But go ahead.
Ty Law.
So coming from Western Pennsylvania, in that mentality, that ground and pound, that central to Pitt to the Dolphins, How do you say that mentality helped transition you from Western Pennsylvania to where you are now in Miami in terms of, your day-to-day?
Yeah, the one thing I would say from places like Aliquippa, where I grew up, in Oakland, I grew up in the city, and Beaver Falls, other places that have
Never be.
it's the work ethic. No, but not Beaver Falls. That's okay. But it's there. But I think it's the work ethic that you get growing up as a kid and watching. Like my dad, he worked as a truck driver. When he was younger, he worked in the steel mill a little bit, and just to see that work ethic. And my mother was a street crossing guard, and that every day you see that, and it just instills you, a work ethic that no matter what's going to happen, they worked for me. I have a special talent. Let's go and work and prove yourself and make everybody proud. And I think that's in the Western PA, like that's there, man. It's like there every night. And then you got Friday night football, Saturday night football. 10,000 people come out to high school football games in Pittsburgh. I mean, they just do. And it just makes for a lot of pride from the city. It really does. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And Tony Dorsett is my favorite West. Huh? Yeah, but he's right across the river. Come on, it's right there. It's right across the river.
There was a lot of good guys on that pit team that did. Tony Dorsett, who you had.
We had Hugh Green, Ricky Jackson.
That was the early NIL money time.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys on that team that deserved a lot of dough.
My NLI was a '74 Monte Carlo, and it was 1980. So that's it.
Next up.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen. I'm going to show my fellow Michigan Wolverine,
Go Blue, baby.
Glen Rice, some love. So I'm from the south side of Chicago, but I also spent time in school in Detroit. And growing up, when I saw you and Ramel Robinson in 1989 win the national championship for us, and then the very next year, two guys from the south side of Chicago came to the University of Michigan, Jawan Howard, and some other players became the Fab Five.
Yep.
That solidified me wanting to become a Michigan Wolverine, and I graduated 24 years ago. I ain't here to talk.
My man, there you go.
Man.
Oh man, I got even more gray hair even talk about that. But another similarity, Glenn, is I too just got diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome. So I'm trying to figure that out because I used to play a lot of baseball.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be Derek Jeter at one point.
Nothing wrong with that.
But my hamstrings said something else, told me to study finance. So in doing so, I never stopped being a weekend warrior. I do cardio a lot. I do a lot of running.
Right.
I like to do golf, like the gentleman up here mentioned. And when I went for a backswing, I felt something pop. So I went to my primary care physician. He said, yeah, you probably do. You do have carpal tunnel. I'm going to send you to an orthopedic so that you could get that figured out. So
how severe did they say it was?
They said it was like a grade 3.
Really?
Yeah, grade 3. So it's going to require surgery. So I wanted to get some inside baseball, pardon the pun, from you on how to deal with that and what other golf players that are in the audience today, if they should encounter something like that as well, what should they do?
Well, deal with it right away. Don't be like me. I was hard-headed. Mine probably started acting up probably about 1.5 years ago. And again, still kind of like being hard-headed, not really paying attention to what my body was telling me. I kept putting it off, and one thing led to another. My carpal tunnel syndrome was very severe, and that's because I was super hard-headed, unlike most Michigan-going people do. I didn't pay attention.
The 2023 national champion.
Show you right.
University of Michigan.
Come on, man. Preach them championships, man. Don't hide that. But, and just like, we're part of a championship team, we have to also do that about our health.
Yeah.
Don't ignore the signals. My ignoring it, I think it, because I prolonged it so long, it hindered me a little bit. It allowed my next surgery, which caused me to have trigger finger. I think because I ignored it so long, it allowed my tendons to get weak, and Therefore, my middle finger, don't pay any attention. Some people tell me I was throwing it up in traffic too much, but that's not the case.
Miami traffic could make you do that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I only been down here 2 years from Chicago, so Miami traffic will make you do that.
Please don't use that finger. Don't use it.
Hey, so let me add to that a little bit. I've had the same surgery. So a lot of people out there may need that surgery. I got to tell you, do it. It's an easy surgery. It's nothing to be afraid of. So a lot of times guys won't do it because they're afraid of it. When I had it done, I'm like, oh my God. Oh, yeah. Driving my car home, it's so
big
don't
time
do that.
Relief.
So
big time relief.
Awesome. My name's Alex Hannon from Chicago. I think you can
wait.
tell.
Excuse me, real quick. If you need a great surgeon, I got a number for you. Okay, brother. All right. You know it. Sorry about that.
His name's Kim Bokamper.
Yeah. I got a razor blade I can use on you there.
All right, I think by my gear, you could tell who I have a question for. My dad, I just want to say my dad would be thinking this is so cool right now. He raised me as the only Dolphins fan in Chicago. Had a cardboard cutout of you in my room growing up. But my question is, so as someone that's tore his ACL, and I know you tore your Achilles, it's something I still deal with every single day, notice it. There's not a moment I don't, and have to take that into consideration in my workouts. And so I was just curious for you, if that's still the same case, how much effort and focus you put into keeping up with the maintenance of that?
Right. Good question. My Achilles basically doesn't work anymore, so I don't even worry about it. I had to have both knees done, so I had to have surgery. So I got fake knees, I got metal in both knees. And I got to a point where I didn't have a choice, and then sometimes you just have to get the right advice to see how you feel. And your body, like Glenn was saying, your body's going to tell you. That's what the doctors told me. Like, your body's going to tell you when you need to get your knee done. And I tried like for a year not to do it. And then I had to do it, and it was the best thing I ever did, because now I feel good. I could play golf. I could walk up steps, and I was at the point where it was really bad. Mm-hmm. And these are things you just got to, like we were talking about. You just got to know your body, understand, and don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn about it. And get checked out. I keep saying, just get checked out every time you can. Yeah, for whatever it may be.
Awesome, thank you. And I just had to ask Dan, for me and my pops, you think you could sign up football after?
Yes, for sure.
Thanks.
And since you're from Chicago and we beat them and they didn't go undefeated.
When was
I love
that?
bragging about that.
That's all I got, bro.
When was that, Danny?
15-1.
1984. 1984. What's that?
Peyton couldn't beat him.
That's what I mean. That's what I was saying.
Yes, we did.
85. I beat you in 85.
Yeah. That's
No, 84. You won. Okay, I'm not going to talk that.
Yeah.
All I know is 16-1 on the ring, and that one is ours.
All right.
Right.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I met Dan Marino years ago when McDonald's gave him an award up in Fort Lauderdale. I still did not have a special son at the time. And I follow him through the Dan Marino Foundation and make the best of my son. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, sir. And then all I could tell you, thank you for having the passion for your child, and as we all do.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to be able to over the years raise a lot of money through the foundation because of people that have helped me corporately, just embraced us. And I think we've really made a difference. And I hope your son's doing great.
You have.
Yeah. Is your son doing great?
Yes, he's doing great. He gets a bachelor's from FIU in hospitality management.
That's
and
awesome,
wants to
man.
go on to a master's in sports management.
There you go. That's awesome.
And then to Glenn, I want to say hi again.
How you doing, my friend?
How are you doing with you, Brunello de Montalcino? Are you drinking it?
Yes, sir.
Are you putting sugar on your tomato sauce?
Oh, you know it, man.
All right.
Thanks to
Dr. Yurubi.
Hey, don't let Alonzo know you're doing that.
Huh? I check myself every 6 months. I had cancer of the kidney taken out 5 years ago, and I'm doing well. I'm a survivor. The heart is getting under control. The body is aging. The prostate is aging appropriately. But Dr. Swartzen told me 9 years ago that I needed to replace my right knee. I still haven't done it. Vanderven wants to do it as soon as possible, but I'm pushing it back.
All right. Well, like I said, I have them both done, and you will know. That's what they said. The doctor said you'll know when you need to have it because you're not going to be able to function in a normal situation, normal life.
The day I can't get up and walk, that's the day that I do it.
You'll know. You'll know.
Yeah.
Pleasure having you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Let's thank Glen Rice,
Glenn, Doc,
Dr.
thanks,
Michael
man.
Yurubi,
Thanks.
and Dan Marino.
Got it, bro.
And thank you guys for coming. And look, I think this whole event is growing every year, and I think this has been a great opportunity to spread the message of health for everybody that's here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Find additional valuable health and wellness information on our resource blog at baptisthealth.net/news. And be sure to interact with us on our social media channels for live and upcoming events. Baptist Health Talk is brought to you by Baptist Health, the warmer side of care.